Hey everyone, welcome to my second job application Python tutorial where I'm working with OpenCV. So we'll continue from the last part where we finished it, and I'm opening the code from my second tutorial, and here it is. What we did, we actually wrote on one defined function, and we want to have a main loop where our function starts. So I'll save this function to another file and I'll write it up. So right now, as you can see, there is a new folder where here it is RGB images. I can show you. Oh, here is JPEG images. Sorry. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And here is my RGB actually. So as you can see, they are quite similar, and what will do right now, I'll rename these folders RGB, for example, write this down, and TIFF images. Sorry for this, I was in a rush while doing this. So anyway, let's open our script and we'll write what we need. So at first, what I'll do, I will import OS because we'll take these files from our folders. And what else I'll do, I'll write output folder name, so I'll call it output, simply output, and I had it somewhere, or maybe not, I don't know. I should have it here, but I don't have. Well, doesn't matter right now. I will write a new function here. So what we'll do, we'll define a new function. So we'll call it read photos. So here we'll read photos and from files, and we'll do it available to read single photos. So for now, I'll call it folder 1 and folder 2. And first, what I'll do is I'll create a folder mk directory, and here I'll write output as we have here. So here will be my output, and we need to handle exception, except file exists error. If our file exists, we just call it. So I won't do it anything here. So I'll create a list here so that we can save our images to a list, and we'll return our lists later somewhere else. So what is the first function I will write? So is that we would like to check if it is a single photo. So while we are checking if it's a single photo or not, what we are doing, we're checking if it has something at the end of the file. So we call it ends with, and we are checking if there is something like JPEG. If there is, so if there is, so our another folder should have a TIFF end, as our files ends like that, or our first folder should end as TIFF and second as JPEG, just like that. So we do it like that, and we write if our folder 1 ends with, oh, I made a mistake here, ends with, it should be written like that, sorry for that. And if folder 1 ends with JPEG called, so it's something like that, JPEG. So then we know that our file is JPEG. What we do is we save it to our JPEG list. So we'll do simply append folder 1. And next, when we know that our first file was JPEG, we know that our second should be TIFF. So we write another example. So folder 2, and we write ends with JPEG. I mean ends with TIFF. it should end with TIFF, like that. So here we simply write save it JPEG, and here we give the TIFF list append folder 2. So if our first folder ends with not JPEG, for example, if our first image is TIFF, then we simply change this to TIFF and we save it to another folder, and if it's JPEG, we save to the first folder. That's it. It's quite simple. And now, if we know that if it's a folders, what we do now? So if it's a folder, we know that if it's a folder, we want to do this step, and we'll go to else. So for else, we will do a for loop. So for files in OS directory list there, and folder 1, we call it like that. And in this case, if our files ends with something like .jpeg, then we, oh sorry, I don't know what just happened. So then we also do same thing with JPEG list. So in this case, we are doing jpeg.list.append, and here we write folder 1, and here we need to add slash and our files from the list. So this is our file name. And next we need to do the same stuff with TIFF image. So folder 2, if it's folder 2, we do it with TIFF. And yeah, we did this for first folder, and we need to do same thing for our second folder. So here we know that it should be also JPEG or TIFF. So what we do is just we choose 2 for files in OS folder 2, and if files there are JPEG, yes, they will be saved to to second folder, I think. Oh, sorry, there's a mistake. TIFF, here should be a TIFF list, and here's also TIFF list. So and here we are checking what files are here. So if in second file is JPEG photos, this will be line executed. If there is a TIFF photos, this line will be executed. And yeah, it's quite simple, I think. And next, what we need to do is simply use a return function. So what we'll do is we'll return a JPEG list at first, and then we'll return a TIFF list at first. So if there's a single image, not a folder, so there will be only one photo in each folder, and if they're in each list, I mean, and if there's folders, the lists of images will be saved to also these lists. So anyway, we're done with this part. Here we're checking if we have a folder, for example, what we would like to have. And oh, sorry, there is no such exceptions. And yeah, if it is there, if folder exists, then we could write a print that, okay, I'll write a print folder exists. That's it. And we can remove the past function, and we have a quite interesting function here. So what's left is that we need to work with this place right here. So what we are doing, so we will call this function from here. So what we do here is that we would like to read something, and as we are returning 2 results, so here will be RGB and TIFF images, and I'll here write read photos. So anyway, right now I have a RGB images folder like here, and I'll post it right here, and I have TIFF images right here. Oh, I don't need this anymore. I'm sorry for this. So TIFF images and RGB images. RGB images, like that. And what next? We have here two arrays here, and we need to call this array. So what we do here is that we have RGB and TIFF two arrays. So we have two arrays, and we need to call this function from to every time do same stuff each time. So what we do, we call a for function here, and I'll write for image in range like that. And what we need to solve one thing: if there is a different count of images. So we use the smaller count. In this way we'll use a minimum function like this, and here we measure a length of RGB photos, and also we are measuring length of TIFF photos. And here is a for function, so we need to do this, and yeah, it's almost finished. But one more thing we need to do is that we are having an array. So we are calling only one image from each array. So what else is that we are saving our images to an output folder. So I'll use name as image. So this will be a simple count of my images. So right now I'll save it, and I'll change my resizer because it's too large. This will take very long if this will be 1. I almost forgot there's an output, and I need to save this to an output folder. So I'll just write something like output plus ampersand, lower ampersand, and yeah, I think everything should work. Let's try this out and let's check. Okay, we have our first error and invalid syntax. What? Oh, I saw what's wrong. It's a stupid mistake. I didn't add a sum sign. So okay, let's try it again. Folder exists already, and we are working with our photos, and here we are. And as you can see, they are in our format as we needed, and there is 15 images, same count as here, and we did all of them. Let's they are of course resized it to 1:1. So anyway, I think that this is quite short tutorial, and it's enough for this tutorial. And what is left for us is to make it work on multiprocessing, because right now if we would make a full size, well, it won't take 5 seconds. It would be, I don't know, I think my computer would crash, because my CPU would go to 100%, and it's only i5 CPU. So it's not that strong as I would like it to be, and I'm thinking about i7 in the future, but right now I have only i5. So if you have i3 or lower, it would even be harder for you. So except there's high quality images, so if you do with low quality images, so there would be no problems. So anyway, I think that's it for this tutorial, and I hope this was useful for you, and we'll continue it in our next tutorial. So the last step left is to make it work as multiprocessing, and then we'll finish with this simple tutorial. So thank you all for watching, good luck, and subscribe my channel. Thank you all for watching, goodbye.